ma'am. So, Chair?
Here.
Vice Chair? Treasurer? Secretary, I'm here. Affiliates?
Here.
Campaigns? Communications? Fundraising? Cool. Legislative? Membership? And outreach.
Here.
Cool, so just missing Vice Chair and Treasurer.
Well, Hannah will not be here. She has a commitment tonight with the kids. And I do expect Gavin to be here. He was going to try to make it in person. He's going to join us online. Who do we have online, John? Okay, Gavin's with us now? Okay, good. All right. First thing we'll do is we're going to open this up to public comment. I'm going to ask all of you that are online to raise your hand so that I can see it, so I can call on you in the order that your hands go up. All right. Ms. Sutton, you have 2 minutes.
Hi, can you hear me all right? Great. My name is Beatrice, and I live in Douglas County. I'm the former treasurer of LPDC, Douglas County, from 2016 to March of this year, and I was last year's convention chair. As you all know, I emailed this board recently about financial discrepancies that I found after learning that the LPCO was facing a potential loss of $3,000 in fines. I did not get a response to my email for 4 days, and if I hadn't posted on social media, I'm not sure I would have gotten a response at all. I want to assure the board that I am here in good faith. I'm not associated with any caucus or group. I just want the truth. It seems that the more I look at the filings and board reports over the last year, the more questions I have. The main discrepancy involves the convention, as I pointed out in my email, the treasurer's report for April of this year, which included the convention, says that the LPCO raised over $22,000. However, the tracer report for the same period only shows $1,300. That's a difference of over $20,000. That's a huge issue. But the more I look at the numbers over the past year, I have many more concerns. I have questions involving the merchandise store, the 50th anniversary event last year, the accuracy of the tracer filings, FEC filings, and many other things. All I want is transparency. If the board is serious about getting to the bottom of this issue and will support an open and honest investigation into these discrepancies, then I would be happy to assist if the board chooses to form an audit committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sutton. Do we have any other members of the public that would like to speak? Mr. Hirschman, do you have anything you'd like to say? At this point.
Well, in response to what Beatrice was saying, I would be willing to work on an audit committee to look into what's going on with the tracer report.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else from the public that would like to speak? I can't see who all is online with us, so if you would have something you want to say, please speak up. Okay. Does everybody look at the agenda for tonight? Is there anything you would like to add? I'll add something on section 10.4. Mr. Secretary, would you add discussion on reserve accounts?
10-4 or new business? Is it committee report or is it new business? Under committee report? Or is it new business?
Forgive me, new business, I'm sorry. I wrote it in the wrong spot on mine.
What was it again?
Reserve account discussion.
Hey Wayne, there appears to be some sort of issue with the stream as it was broadcast to YouTube. It appears that Miss Sutton's comment was not audible on the YouTube stream.
Yep, understood. So I'm troubleshooting that audio issue, and Reed is on recording the meeting itself explicitly. So we'll be able to go back in and splice the audio recording of the meeting itself onto the stream. So we'll be trying to.
So John, we haven't lost her comments.
We should. Reed is on recording.
Okay. Has everybody read was there any other additions to tonight's agenda? Okay. Has everybody read the minutes that Andy sent out a couple days ago to review and see if there needs to be any changes made? Are there any adjustments that need to be made? Hearing none. Previous minutes are approved. Andy? We'll go to the reports from the affiliates. Do we have anybody from Arapahoe who would like to speak tonight? Boulder? Denver?
Yeah, the Libertarian Party of Denver's got our next meetup coming up this Wednesday, the 14th, and that'll be at the Atomic Cowboy on Broadway. That's from 7 to 9 p.m.
How far north is that? Atomic Cowboy?
It's like, let's see, just a little, well, it's a little north of 25 on Broadway.
Okay, so it's a downtown.
It's not really.
Okay. All right, anything else?
That was it.
Okay, I'll speak for Douglas. We have an interesting meeting coming up first Thursday of January. We're going to have Commissioner George Teal, Douglas County Commissioner, is going to be speaking at the meeting, and he's going to give us a lowdown on what exactly is happening in Douglas County and things that are being considered and proposed. So that should be a very interesting meeting. We should have a pretty good turnout because of that. Who would like to speak for El Paso?
John Jersman.
Okay, please speak up, John.
John Jersman with the El Paso County affiliate rep. Yesterday we had the Libertarian Party's birthday celebration at Old Chicago in Colorado Springs. And El Paso's been doing that for as long as I've been associated with the group. We had a pretty good turnout. Had a raffle and had a what's that show?
The Jeopardy.
Jeopardy. We had a Jeopardy flavored trivia contest, and it was fun. It was a good meeting. And our next meeting is actually our annual convention, which is going to be January 14th. And we're not going to have a board meeting before that. It'll be immediately after.
Is that going to be at Old Chicago as well?
That is going to be at, we think, at the Pikes Peak Library East, which is on North Union.
Okay. I'm sure you get updates to Mr. Atkins, so he can put that in the emails that go out. All right. Anything else, John?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Okay. Anybody from Jefferson County?
This is Reed. I'd like to say that we're not holding our usual meeting this month. We'll pick up again in January, on January 26th.
Okay. Mesa County? Pueblo? Laramie? next opportunity is a report from our ONC secretary, Ms. Harless.
I'm sorry, I gotta get up in front loud.
Yeah,
Okay,
would you keep it to 5 minutes, please?
maybe, yeah. We had our annual budget meeting, so if anyone has any questions, as to what's going on with that, Andy, was there for the meeting. Really not that much, I don't wanna say nothing's going on, because we're certainly doing the work of the party. And I am somewhat superstitious, and the last time I said the LNC was going really, really well, the next weekend Joe Bishop Henchman tried to take over New Hampshire. So I don't like saying that, but actually this LNC is the most peaceful I've seen since 2016. Like, we just get along, so there's not much popcorn eating to be doing, reading the LNC list as there has been in the past. So sorry to disappoint people who missed their soap operas. But yeah, Angela had her baby, a healthy baby boy, and she was back at it a week after having a C-section running the meeting. So anyone who had any doubts about her badassery, I think that probably should answer that question. Yeah, and we're, yeah, I really can't even think of anything else, you know, of significant note. I would certainly entertain any questions. Just for the board's reference, I was honored to be elected as permanent National Bylaws Committee Chair for the 2024 convention. So we're starting our meetings. The past 2 years have revealed a lot of weaknesses in the national bylaws that need to be addressed. So hopefully, hopefully those will be. Mike Seebeck got appointed to that committee as well. And I guess just see if there's any questions. All righty,
I don't
good.
see any hands up. Thank you, Ms. Harlos. Is Miguel with us tonight? He's our, for those of you that are new, he is our Region 1 rep. And he comes to quite a few of our meetings, but doesn't look like he's here tonight. All right, board reports. I only have one thing to add to my report. In my efforts to make national membership calls, I have not had a single complaint on any of those people that have not renewed their memberships, that the reason that they have not was because of either the new state or national boards, or because of messaging. It's all been because of financial reasons, or it just slipped through the cracks. We had one person that said that they felt as though we were not still the left-leaning party that we used to be, and he's very, very much a leftist. And he, forgive me, she now, she decided that she was going to go back to the Democrat Party, because they actually supported her leftist views more solidly than the Libertarian Party did. Other than that, I've had no negative pushback at all, not from a single call. So that's encouraging, and I hope everybody realizes that all the naysayers that are trying to give us headaches over our messaging or over the people that have been elected to either the state board or the national board, the members don't have that pushback at all. So that's all I had to add to my report. Hannah is not here tonight. She was talking about sending a proxy. Did somebody come as a proxy for Hannah tonight? Okay, doesn't sound like it. Mr. Kaczynski.
Yeah, the only thing I'd like to reiterate from my report is kind of going on what Wayne, Mr. Chairman, just mentioned, and that is that in the past 2 Novembers, we have raised about $500 each month. This November, we raised nearly $3,000. So there's a lot of support for what we're doing. It's about a 500% increase over previous years. So, and that's a trend that has really continued since April of this year. We've just seen monthly donations and monthly donors just completely skyrocket to really unprecedented levels. And they're not huge donations. There are $5, $10, $15 donations. So I want to thank everyone in the party in the state of Colorado who's contributing and helping to make this movement a success. Nothing else to report.
Thank you, Mr. Kaczynski. Could you do me a favor and for your next report, could you do a flow chart showing the increases over the last 4 or 5 years, showing the monthly donations or even quarterly donations if it'd be easier? I just want to get a feel for what's trending right now. I have a personal feeling what's happening because obviously this year is significantly better than last. But I'd like to see a trend and see when that trend started. So if you could do that for your next board report, I'd appreciate it very much.
Absolutely. Count on it.
Thank you. Secretary.
Nothing further to add.
Guys, for those that are new, if there is a time when you're doing your board report, even if you don't have anything to add, if there's any type of a motion you would like to put in place, that at the end of your report, that would be the time for you to put that motion into effect. You can also get it on the agenda, but you don't have to have it on the agenda. You could do it at the end of your report. So just for the new guys, that's part of the process that we use here, and that's perfectly acceptable. All right. Affiliates.
Nothing to add.
Okay. Communications.
Two things to add recently about the same subject. I was involved in replying to Colorado Public Broadcast Radio and the Denver Post regarding Dan's win or polling so much in his district, and what that meant and what we thought of it and things like that. So we appeared both in the Colorado Public Broadcast Radio 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, and I don't know when the Denver Post one will post, but we'll put it on socials when that also gets published. But basically, it revolved around the party's comments around his polling, so many votes and spoiling, so to speak, the GOP candidate.
Thank you, Mr. Marinovich. Ms. King, fundraising. Ms. King, I think you're muted.
Sorry, yes, I know. Nothing further to add.
Okay. Legislative.
Nothing to add to the report, but I would like to give a shout out at this platform that coming soon to an inbox near you will be a request for some volunteers to testify during public comment to the legislature as the season starts up in early January. So if you're in and around the Denver area or just like traveling to Denver, please sign up and help us get some bodies in the legislature, have our presence be known.
Great, thank you, Mr. Lance.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't realize what you said earlier, and I don't want to interrupt any more board reports, but when all the reports are done, I do have a motion to make.
Okay. Let's just add that, since we've missed that opportunity, let's just add that to our agenda. Well, we can't really have the agenda at this point, we really adopted it. All right, we'll make that work. It's a little unorthodox, but we'll make that work.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Piotr.
Some news is that we've had over 600 people register as libertarians in the month of December in Colorado.
Wow.
Other than that, nothing to add.
That's fantastic.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr. Piotr. Outreach.
We're currently working on getting the trailer with all of our supplies back to Denver. I believe it's in Pueblo, so I'm scheduling that. Hopefully, I can get that to Denver sometime before the end of the year, but no promises.
Do you have a vehicle to pull that trailer?
Yes.
You do. If you need any help, I have a couple vehicles that pull the trailer.
Thank you.
Without objection, we'll hear from Mr. Hirschman.
I'd like to be kept advised of where the whereabouts is the trailer? It's like when I redo the plates.
Yeah, I thought it was back to Golden again.
Huh?
So John actually owns the trailer, so it's his interest to know exactly where the trailer is. I thought the trailer had been brought back. Thank you for following up on that. All right, like I said, we're gonna go backwards a little bit. Mr. Kaczynski, you have a motion that you would like to put on the table?
Yes, I do. I'd like to make a motion that the Libertarian Party of Colorado form an audit committee in order to provide support to the treasurer and provide accountability to the treasurer and to provide transparency to the Libertarian Party of to the Libertarians in the state of Colorado.
Okay. We will revisit that under new business. That was on the agenda already, Gavin. But we'll go ahead and take you, if you would, try to solidify that motion a little bit. We'll have you remake it when we get to that point of the agenda.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Rose?
Should I forward that proposed wording over to the treasurer to take a look at and to the secretary?
You can, yes.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Kaczynski, Karen Ann Harless is going to send over some proposed wording that we may be able to use to help facilitate the motion that's in place. It's actually language that's in Arizona's bylaws. We're not going to put it in our bylaws yet because that has to be passed by the delegates, but we'll put it in the motion today to be put in place if everybody agrees in our special rules of order. Okay.
Very good. Thank you, Madam Secretary.
Go to staff reports. Mr. Atkin, do you have anything you want to bring?
Yes, I'm going to be sending postcards to the 600 new registered libertarians registered in the month of November, probably next week or so.
Beautiful. Do you have a budget in mind for that, David? Is that something?
Postage is about $260, and printing is going to be between 50 and 100, I think.
Okay, so if we had 375 set aside to cover that expense, would that be sufficient?
Sure.
Okay. I will go ahead and put a motion on the table. I move that we set up $375 aside to facilitate Mr. Atkins' efforts to send out a new postcard to all the newly registered libertarians in the state of Colorado. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Any objections? Excuse me. Mr. Kaczynski, that has passed. Would you get in contact with Mr. Atkin and see how you can reimburse him for his expenses?
Yes, sir. Unless it's David, if there's a way that we can pay that directly, whatever works best, let me know.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
Hey,
that might be an easier step.
Mr. Chairman, sorry to interrupt, but I wonder, kind of on this subject, I'd ask the membership director if we might want to do a same sort of chart that I'm going to be doing for donations. If we might want to put a chart together for new registered libertarians in the state over the past 12 months, just mostly out of curiosity, or I wonder maybe membership director is already aware of what that trend looks like. But I'm kind of curious. If 600 sounds like a huge number, but maybe it's not. I don't know.
We only got 6 million people in the state, so Mr. Atkin?
I can tell you, I looked at the numbers for the last year of people who were still registered libertarians, and during the first 6 months of the year, it runs about 150 to 200, and depending on the year, whether it's in And election year or not, it could be a couple thousand each month in the other parts of the year. However, there is significant turnover of people leaving the party, and one of my motivations for sending out these postcards is to reduce the turnover and get people to stay. Because these are people who register through the DMV or the Secretary of State's website or the county clerk's website, do not come through our website and therefore do not get contacted by us.
Thank you, Mr. Atkin. Mr. Piotr, is that something that you'd be willing to get together with Mr. Atkin on? Maybe make sure that you guys don't duplicate each other's efforts.
Yes, we're already planning on getting together to do that.
Very good, thank you. Mr. Engel, how are we doing on technology? Is there any updates, upgrades that we have to consider?
I think we're doing okay. We did have, I showed up a little later today and didn't get a full audio test like I might have wanted. So Ms. Sutton's comments were lost from the stream audio. So apologies again to her, but Reed is on again remotely recording the meeting, and we'll be able to splice those comments back into the video. And the stream audio has been good since.
Okay.
So it seems to be okay.
Thank you, Mr. Engel. All right. Committee reports. Jacob, you're still on the merchandising committee. Are you still handling that?
Yeah, but pretty loosely, to be honest with you. Let me get back to you with that next month.
Do we have anybody in the pipeline that we think might have an interest in stepping up and running that committee?
I'm working on that. I remember trying to flesh this out maybe last month when we talked about this and not getting any hits, but I will seek them out again.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Bylaws committee.
Yes.
Ms. Harlos, your turn again.
I don't understand what's expected. The bylaws committee and platform committee don't report to the board, they report to the convention. I mean, if you'd like just a courtesy update, but
Just a courtesy update.
okay, just trying to make that line clear because we're accountable to the delegates of the convention. We've had our first meeting. I thought it went really well. The first thing that we're addressing is the convention mandate from 2019 that was never fulfilled, which was to bring before the delegates a proposal to have codified convention standing rules, so we don't have to adopt standing rules every convention to save time and professionalize. So that's the first thing we're working on, but just like national, the past couple of years have revealed some flaws in our bylaws, at least to me, after working with these states that have had some issues that we'll be going through. And from what I understand, there seems to be a lot of support in the committee, if not unanimous support in the committee, to put forward a proposal for a new structure in Colorado. So whether that passes the delegates or not is another story, but I do think that's something that's going to be brought forward. On the board's new Facebook group, which fantastic idea, by the way. I will be always publishing links to all of the bylaws meeting. Every single one of the meetings will be open to membership, and there'll always be an opportunity for public comment.
Very nice. Any questions for Ms. Harlos? Okay, platform committee. That's you, Mr. Gonzalez.
So our first meeting is scheduled for this Friday at 7 o'clock. I did appoint Mike Seebeck as the recording secretary, and I will give an update as soon as we have our first meeting.
Okay, very good. We have no special orders or unfinished business.
Point.
Mr. Atkin?
Eli, would you please send me the links for that so I can post it on the website?
Sure.
Those should be posted on the website for all of them.
Thank you, David. All right. We'll go straight to new business. We had no special orders or unfinished business. So first item on the agenda is a convention speaker fee, and this was put on the agenda by Ms. King. Ms. King, go ahead.
Yes. So things have changed since I made this, and unfortunately, the speaker that we had lined up as our keynote and as our gala speaker has canceled, which is fine. We have plenty of time to find somebody else, but that will change the fees somewhat. Originally, I was going to motion for $4,500, but given that we may need to spend a little more than that, I would like to motion to request $7,500 provisionally. Given some of the replacements that we're looking at, hopefully it will not be that much, but.
So would you formalize your motion, please?
I would like to move to provisionally set aside $7,500 for speaker fees, travel, and lodging expenses for the convention.
Say 7,500?
7,500.
Did you say up to, Aaron?
Yes, provisionally up to 7,500.
Okay, thank you. I'll second that.
Do you have any discussion? What did we spend on speaker fees last year? Do you recall?
6,000.
Okay.
And that was for one speaker. Just to clarify, this will pay for Angela McArdle to come out and do affiliate training. We have booked Clint Russell, and then we will have a gala speaker who may be Clint Russell, but possibly not. We're potentially looking at maybe Tom Woods, somebody else. Initially, we had Scott Horton, but he has since dropped off, and he does have a generally very reasonable speaking fee. Almost everybody else is going to be more expensive. So this isn't just for one speaker. This would be for 3.
Okay. Well, I'm sure you'll negotiate the best fees that we can get. Is that objection? We'll hear from Ms. Harlows.
And just to add to Ms. King's, remember last year was a one-day convention. This is a 2-day convention, so you will have to expect to pay a little bit more if we're going to have entertainment or education or whatever for 2 days rather than 1.
Is everybody able to hear Ms. Harlows? Okay. Any more discussion?
Aaron, will you make money?
All right. We'll
Yes, I think so. Obviously, if we have bigger names, it's more of a draw. But I take very seriously trying to make this reasonably priced for all the membership. I know in the past it's been quite expensive to do a 2-day, and so I'm hoping to keep the cost down and keep the prices reasonable, and instead try to make as much money as we can on really cool auction items in alcohol sales. So,
Hey, just as a point of reference, when I left the Republican Party of Larimer County, we had just finished a contract to pay Sarah Huckabee Sanders $50,000 for the Lincoln Day dinner. So, and which is an event for the Larimer County Republican Party that raises about $90,000. So a 2-to-1 ratio for the Republican Party of Larimer County, at least, was a consider to be a pretty good return. So I know Aaron's going to do like a 10-to-1 ratio here. So
I don't want to make promises, but I would like to hit that number.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and bring that to a vote. We'll do a roll call. Mr. Secretary?
Give me 1 second. Good. So Vice Chair is absent. So Treasurer.
Yes.
Secretary, yes. Affiliates,
Yes.
campaigns,
Yes.
communications,
Yes.
fundraising,
Yes.
legislative,
Yes.
membership,
Yes.
outreach.
Yes.
So it is 900.
So without objection, we have $7,500 set aside for speaker fees, lodging, any expenses that will come with that. Aaron, I'm sure you'll be very cautious with not spending all of that if we don't have to.
Of course.
All right, very good. Now, Mr. Kaczynski, this is your opportunity to put your motion on the floor. Did you receive the language that was sent to you by Ms. Harlows?
I did, and I think it's really good. So without objection, I'll just make a motion that the Libertarian Party of Colorado form an audit committee. Let me say a temporary audit committee until reviewed by the Bylaws Committee, composed of 3 members responsible for providing independent review and oversight of financial transactions, including reviewing all financial records and reports to government authorities, reporting findings, and making recommendations to strengthen the Libertarian Party of Colorado's financial systems and address recent member concerns. Expected time frame for a report of its findings and recommendations is 60 days. The audit committee has no decision-making authority, and the audit committee shall have access to the party's financial records and reports to government authorities. And I think Mr. Secretary has this, so has that exact language, almost exact.
You have a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Now it's time for discussion or amendment. I would like to shorten that time frame, amend the motion to say 30 days rather than 60.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I changed it to 60 at the request of the treasurer for the time that
Okay. Mr. Kaczynski, you feel as though 60 days is better?
Yes, and unfortunately, we're in mid-December right now, and I think with the holidays coming up and travel, I was hoping that we could get all this done in 60 days. I also want it to be thorough and comprehensive, and I'm afraid that 30 days is not sufficient time to form the committee and do all of that over the holiday season, respectfully.
I will withdraw my amendment. I'm going to add another amendment to call the people that I believe are the best qualified in order to be on this committee. We'll start with Mr. John Hirschman. Mr. Hirschman is a treasurer for many, many years, still currently a treasurer in El Paso, if I recall correctly. Also, I would like to appoint Beatrice Sutton. Beatrice did an outstanding job with Douglas County as our treasurer down there for I think about 6 years. And also Mr. Reed Dotson. Reed is the treasurer in Jefferson County right now. I've already spoken with all these people, and they've already accepted the appointments. So I would like to add an amendment that says specifically the 3 people that will be on the committee will be Mr. John Hirschman, Ms. Beatrice Sutton, Mr. Reed Dotson, with John Hirschman being the chair of the committee. So right now, do we have a second on that amendment?
I'll second that.
Okay. Do we have any discussion on that?
Do we need the input of those that you have nominated?
We can ask for it if you'd like. I think they're all here. I don't know if Beatrice is still with us or not. Why don't, if you guys would like to hear from each one of the people that I proposed, we can certainly do that. Mr. Hirschman, would you like to speak to that? Please speak up so you can.
Well, I haven't actually figured out how to approach it, but I'm assuming that the main thing is going to be to deal with Gavin and find out. Apparently, some of the objections are that a number of expenditures aren't explained, and we'll have to find out what they're for and just make a list, basically. And I think that's pretty much what I see.
That's pretty much it.
The report being.
Okay. Ms. Sutton, are you still with us?
I am, and I thank you for nominating me, and I do accept. And what I was thinking about when this came up as a committee, I just want to make sure that that we have full access to it all, and that we have maybe a sit down with Gavin and the 3 of us sometime. And you're correct, 30 days is not enough. Gavin's right with holidays. I think I'm confident we can do it in 60.
The holidays slipped my mind. Any questions for Beatrice? Mr. Dodson, would you like to speak to your appointment?
Just to say that I'll be happy to serve, and I think 60 days is a good measure.
Okay, does anybody have any questions of any of the nominees?
I don't have questions, but I would just like to sincerely thank Beatrice. I know there's a lot of, it's easy to misconstrue intentions on social media. And so I just want to be clear that from my, and I think everybody's perspective, we're sincerely grateful that you do take a look at things, and any perceived slowness to respond or treating you like you're just like trying to cause headaches or anything like that on our end is really not intended, and we're really grateful that you brought this up. So.
I would like to add that and just thank all 3 of our nominees, but particularly Beatrice, for bringing these things to our attention, because just really can't afford to have questions surrounding the finances, right? So we do appreciate it, even if it seems like we don't. We genuinely do.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. King. Anybody else?
I appreciate this also. I don't spend time on social media. My life is better for it, and but I also miss out on some things like this situation. So my apologies for not participating and not being aware of what was going on. I'll leave it up to the committee to make their findings, but I can assure you that there's a perfectly good explanation for all of this, but I'll let the committee reach that. But thank you to Ms. Sutton and to Mr. Dotson and to Mr. Hirschman for agreeing to participate in this. I think it is something that I'd like for the bylaws committee to consider also, because it's important that the treasurer, be it me or future treasurers, have accountability when you're dealing with finances. That's a good way for people and committees and organizations to get in a lot of trouble. So we need to make sure that we've got our treasurer held accountable, myself first and foremost among them. So thank you to everyone, and again, sorry I don't participate in social media. Actually, sorry, I'm not sorry. I'm not going to either. Like I said, my life is better because of it. So thanks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kaczynski. On that, we are back to a vote on the amendment. Ms. Harlow?
Yeah, you had asked.
Without objection, we'll hear from Ms. Harlow.
First of all, I want to thank the board for taking the suggestion for an audit committee that I had sent over on board immediately. That's coming from, you know, I work on the national level. This is something that's just standard at the national level that a lot of state parties aren't used to having. So the feeling there was just a little bit of a disconnect on how do we handle these questions, and this is really the best way to handle. I promise as bylaws committee chair for Colorado that I will bring a proposal to the bylaws committee. I'm sure we'll work out something, but whether the delegates pass it or not, a whole other thing. But this is by far the best way to handle, and as a top 10 affiliate, I do think we need a standing audit committee. So I agree with our treasurer on that. So hopefully our delegates will put that into place at the convention, but there will be a proposal for it from the bylaws committee.
Thank you, Ms. Harlow. All right, we are back to a vote on the amendment. The motion to amend has been raised. It's been seconded. We've had discussion. Do we have any objections? Hearing none, we'll bring that to a roll call vote. Mr. Secretary?
Point of order. Because you said without objections and it's just an amendment, do we have to do a roll call vote on the amendment? Can we skip it for the sake of
I'd rather not on this one.
Just for the amendment, just for the names on the amendment, and then do a roll call on the actual committee as on the motion.
Actually, I don't have any pushback on that. Does anybody? All right, we have no objections, so the amendment will carry. Now we're back to the original motion as read by Mr. Kaczynski and then amended by adding the names of the people that will be on the committee. Do we have any discussion on that? We already had a motion and a second. Hearing none, we'll bring that to a roll call. Mr. Secretary? Okay.
Would you like me to read it one more time before we do the roll call? Or you think we got it?
Does anybody want to hear that again one more time before we do a vote on this? Hearing none, I guess we're good.
Cool. All right. Vice Chair is absent, so Treasurer.
Yay.
Secretary, yes. Affiliates?
Yes.
Campaigns?
Yes.
Communications?
Yes.
Fundraising?
Yes.
Legislative?
Yes.
Membership?
Yes.
Outreach?
Yes.
And it is 900 if you would like to vote, Mr. Chair.
That passed.
Would you like to vote?
Unanimously.
Would you like to vote?
Cool. I happen to agree with it, but. Okay, there's one thing I want to bring to the attention here. Mr. Kaczynski, would you get the information, get access to Mr. Hirschman, and then he can pass it on to the other two committee members? And Mr. Kaczynski is not going to be required to be at any of the meetings, but he does have to be available for any questions that may arise from the committee. So you're okay with that, Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes, although I do like Ms. Sutton's idea, I would love for the four of us to get together, if at all possible. I know it might be difficult, but I think that would be in line also if we can pull that off. But yes, I'll send Mr. Hirschman my contact information. But I think I have Ms. Sutton's and Mr. Dotson's emails as well, so we might just kick it off here this evening.
Mr. Hirschman, are you okay with Gavin sending all the information directly to the committee members?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Gavin. John is fine with that.
Great, thank you.
All right. Next item we have on the agenda is outreach budget. And Outreach, you want to go ahead and raise your question?
Sure. I wanted to see if we can allocate $200 for sponsoring a table at the Tabor event. I think it's a really good opportunity to outreach.
And will the $200 be enough to cover both the booth costs as well as any required insurance?
I believe so, but if it's not, I can ask to see if we can allocate more.
Why don't we just assume that we're going to have a $100 expense on the insurance, John? I think that's been pretty consistent over the years.
Yeah,
All right, so why don't you go ahead and make your motion and use $300 as your cost for this?
I motion to allocate $300 for outreach
For
the Tabor celebration.
For the Tabor event. And what is the date of that?
January 14th of 2023.
One day event?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a second on that? Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, we do have a second. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, that passes without objection. So you have $300 allocated to the Tabor event. Ellie, and if in the future, I did want you to put this to a formal motion this time, since you were unfamiliar with the process. But in the future, you already have discretionary function up to $200. You don't have to ask permission. Go ahead and just do it. We may consider raising that amount. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and make that a motion right now. For any future outreach events, we'll raise our spending limit to $300. That should be able to cover any booth expenses as well as insurance for the future. Do we have a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just for clarity, this is, it's not an actual bylaw, right? The bylaw says that we will have sort of discretionary funds to some arbitrary limit, and we're just kind of unwritten rule that we're going up to 300.
Yeah, it's kind of a standing rule that we've had, Nick. In the past, we've had to have, every time we had an event, we had our outreach director bring it to the board. That became cumbersome. And so we put a kind of an arbitrary $200 number in before, but obviously the expenses have gone up. So moving it up to $300 is the reason for that.
Awesome. Thanks for the clarification.
And it's not just arbitrary, Nick.
Hold on, one at a time.
That was cool.
It's not just arbitrary, Nick. We actually do have standing rules that are on Lpedia. So this would be a motion to alter those.
Okay, any other questions? We have objection. Hearing none, that passes. We have $300 for this event and any further events that are coming up. You don't have to bring it to the board. But if you'd like to raise it as an email for discussion, that's fine. If you want to bring it to the board at a regular meeting, that's fine as well, but it's not required.
Thank you.
Next opportunity is reserve account. We have, in Mr. Kaczynski's report, we have several reserves that are set aside. One is Denver. We have $500 and some for Denver. Have you guys never opened up a checking account?
Yeah, we're still working on that. Our original treasurer told us that they did, and then kind of disappeared on us. And turned out they never got anything set up for us, so we're still working on that process.
That's a reasonably easy process. It doesn't take that long. It takes about a week to open up a checking account. We've used independent financial.
Well, it was the EIN process that we had most trouble with, and then the first bank we tried rejected us.
Doesn't matter. We can hold the money for you, but it's more convenient if you have a check.
Yep.
Okay. Also, we have $500+ in Delta. Delta dissolved. So we've left that money in our account and not done anything with it. We need to decide whether we want to go ahead and put that into our general funding or whether we want to distribute it to the other affiliates or what we want to do. But at this point, that money's not being used and it doesn't make sense to keep it held there. Do we have any discussion or any thoughts on that? Mr. Hirschman?
We've had some issues with the bank account that LPCO has, dealing with the bank and trying to get things done. When he gets a new board member, the whole damn board has to show up in person and all that crap. A and B Bank, I don't know if there's one in Denver, but that's what we have in El Paso has an account with. And there, you can go to the branch that's closest to you and sign the signature form. You don't have, everybody doesn't have to congregate at once, you know, at a bank. So they're a lot more accommodating, and just a thought.
It is. Douglas County just switched their account from Wells Fargo to Independent Financial. And Wells Fargo, frankly, the amount of hoops of, just to change our officers, the amount of hoops we had to jump through was ridiculous. Independent Financial has been very, very easy to get along with in comparison. So that's why we switched to Independent Financial, and they're pretty easy to get along with bank. But back to Delta County. I will make a motion that we take that money that's in the Delta County reserve, if you will, and put that into the general fund for the LPCO. Delta County doesn't have anybody that's working towards rebuilding that. The libertarians in Delta County are afraid of Deborah Schoen, and they don't want to start an affiliate out in Delta County again. So at this point, I move that we take that money and we put it into our general account. We have a second on that.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I don't necessarily have an issue with that at all, but as an alternative, we could distribute it proportionally to the affiliates. I think, especially if Ms. King is going to bring Angela McCardle to do some affiliate training, then it might be a nice gesture to the affiliates to distribute the funds to them. Only as an alternative. I'm not saying that your idea is a bad one or that I'm even opposed to the motion, but I would throw plan A and plan B out there.
Procedurally, I'm not sure where to go on this one. Maybe we can take advantage of Ms. Harless's parliamentary background. And I made a motion to distribute the money.
There's been no motion to amend, it's just suggesting. So I don't understand the procedural question of the motion.
At this point, we have a motion and a second. Mr. Kaczynski offered a plan B on this. I guess we'll go to Mr. Kaczynski's plan B
No.
if.
Okay. Did Mr. Kaczynski just make a suggestion?
He made a suggestion as a plan B.
Yeah, but that's not a motion, that's not an amendment, that's a talking point. It's debate.
I think we should just continue to a vote, and if people want to distribute the money to the affiliates instead, you know, then someone can make a motion after this. But again, I don't think your idea is a bad one, Mr. Chairman.
I think that's the best way to approach this. If anybody feels as though they would rather have the money distributed to the affiliates rather than brought into the general funding for the LPCO, vote no on this. So let's go ahead and do a roll call vote. Mr. Secretary?
This one I am going to reread real quick just to make sure we all agree. Mr. Harless moved to take Delta County appropriated funds from the reserve account and move them into the general fund. Sound good?
That's it? And it was seconded? Cool. So at this point, guys, if we bring this to a vote, a roll call vote, if you would rather see the money distributed to each of the active affiliates rather than brought into the LPCO general fund. Vote no on it, and we'll have Mr. Kaczynski make another motion. So go ahead, Mr. Secretary.
Vice Chair is absent, so Treasurer.
Abstain.
Secretariat, I'm going to abstain as well. Affiliates.
Yes.
Treasurer, constituents. Campaigns.
Yes.
Communications.
Yes.
Fundraising.
No.
Legislative.
No.
Membership.
Yes.
Say pass or yes. Do you say yes?
Thanks.
Outreach.
Abstain.
So you are at 4 yeses, 2 noes, 3 abstentions.
Okay, that passes, so that money will be put into the general fund. Gavin, if you would, go ahead and take that money from the reserve and put it into the general fund for the LPCO.
You bet.
I don't have anything else to go over. There's nothing else on the agenda. We do have an opportunity for public comment. If there's anybody in the public that would like to comment before we adjourn this meeting, without objection. Ms. Harlows?
And, well, I think there's somebody online who probably has not spoken yet. If you want to go to them first.
Yeah, who's online that would like to speak?
Mr. Chair, this is Reed.
Go ahead, Reed.
I just want to clarify something that came up earlier and also to apologize to Gavin. I sent him 2 emails that relate to the contract for next year's convention venue. They're almost identical. I'm sure he took them to be identical. They're actually 2 separate contracts. One is for the 2 days of the convention, and we added another contract for 2 hours of setup the Friday before. So we actually have a small deposit to be made in order to hold that one as well.
Thank you for the clarification, Reed. And sorry for the confusion on my part, but I appreciate that clarification. I'll get a deposit sent for the second piece.
Yeah, I should have been much more obvious about what was going on.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Reed. Ms. Harlows?
Okay. I sent an email to the board that probably, I think it's going to be 2024. The socialized medicine people are really ramping it up again. There's people in the party who think it's really cute to sign me up to all these like bizarre mailing lists, but I actually enjoy getting them because I wouldn't have known otherwise. So whoever randomly signed me up to that mailing list, I've been a terror to that organizer because every time she writes me, I'm like, I'm trying to eat, please stop emailing me. But this is something we should really get on. If you've been paying attention to what's going on in Canada, I mean, do we really want that going on in Florida where you're telling a vet, you know, we're not going to put a lift on your stairs, but we could sign you up to kill you. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. So that's coming up. But also, you guys know I work closely with the RCB people. Like there is in every other state where RCB is gaining acceptance, the top X primary people are coming. They're looking to dismantle your minor party law, David. They are totally gunning for it right now. Not the group I work with, but the top X people. They're looking to bring top 5 to Colorado. Big money is behind it. We've got to be prepared to battle that because we have one of the best ballot access laws in this country, and it will totally change the character of this party. I view it as an existential threat to us. So I just want those 2 things on the party's radar, things we have to fight.
Thank you, Ms. Harlows. Anybody else from the public that would like to speak?
Would Ms. Sutton like to repeat her public comment from earlier now that we had the audio working?
I'm so sorry. I don't, I guess I could.
It's up to you. I'm just giving you throwing the offer out
No,
there.
you know, it was already offered to splice it. I'm cool with that.
Sounds good.
I am not a public speaker, so thank you. Thank you for your time.
Well, hopefully with the 2 recordings that we have, we'll be able to interpolate them and make sure that your public comments will be on the video that will be available for the public to watch.
And Mr. Chair, if they're not, I would suggest giving Ms. Sutton the opportunity to write down a public comment, and the secretary could then include it in the minutes if for some reason the recording
I think
doesn't
that's
work
a
out.
good idea. Ms. Sutton, would you be willing to write down your comments so that if for any reason we can reconstruct the audio, that we can have your comments in writing and add those to the meeting?
Absolutely. I can email them to the secretary.
Okay, thank
Right
you.
on.
Anything else? Okay, we have finished our business. We are adjourned. Next meeting will be January meeting. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.